Hello, my name is Opal Singleton. I'm the president and CEO of an organization named Million Kids. We are dedicated to keeping kids safe from predators. And today we are going to talk about revenge pornography. I hope you'll follow us at millionkids.org. If you're on Facebook, you might look up Million Kids Supporters so you can keep yourself educated on these subjects. Revenge porn is an interesting subject because when it happens to you, so many people just panic and don't know what to do. Revenge porn basically is short for revenge pornography. It is the distribution of sexually explicit images or videos or live streaming without the consent of the participants. The materials may or may not have been done with the victim's consent. So just because it happened with your consent does not mean something bad is not happening to you. We can have absolutely innocent people involved as victims of revenge porn. There are many possible scenarios where the images were created. Regardless, blackmail with an illicit image is a criminal act. Examples of revenge porn can be date rape, where the victim is totally in a situation where they had no control. Maybe they were given alcohol or drugs, and then they were violated and they were filmed or had screenshots taken of them. Victims may be blackmailed into additional sex acts, being extorted for money, being forced into prostitution, or threatened to ruin their reputation. It doesn't always have to be about money. It can be being forced into conducting activities that are illicit and you don't want to do them. In some cases, images were taken in a consensual relationship and shared with the partner, and then the partners separate. Now, if this is happening where one of the partners is a minor, then this is an important crime because it is, in the case of a sexually explicit activity involving a minor, that is called CSAM, child sexual abuse material. We formerly knew that as child pornography, and it is absolutely against the law and needs to be reported. Well, in some cases, you're an adult, and the images were taken at a better time in the relationship, where you had a consensual relationship and everybody agreed to it, and it never once occurred to you that when the relationship was over, that something bad might happen. If the victim is an adult and is being threatened with extortion of any kind, it is still a crime, especially if the perpetrator is demanding money or access to the individual, requiring them to continue to see them, or threats of physical harm or extortion by threatening to destroy their reputation with family, work, or community. That still makes it revenge porn. Now, sometimes you have non-consensual images, which is done in a context of sexual abuse. That's when the images may be used by a hacker or someone that gained access to the photos or the images without anybody's knowledge. Wikipedia describes these images used sufficiently identify the individual. That's called doxing, whether you can identify the name or the location. And if it's linked to a risque social media post causing harm to the individual reputation, it is still revenge porn. Victims may experience workplace discrimination, cyber stalking, physical attack, or even termination. So examples of revenge porn, such as taking control and stalking. Sometimes the perpetrator will upload sexually explicit material to the internet to humiliate you, to intimidate you, or cause intimidation to a subject who has ended the relationship. Sometimes there's threats of physical harm and stalking, and that should be immediately reported to law enforcement. Sometimes there are demands for money or demands for creating more images or demands for meeting up. All of those should be reported to law enforcement immediately. So if you're an adult and you're an adult victim of revenge porn, here are some suggestions. Immediately screenshot all images, communication, text that can be used for evidence. Now, it might be embarrassing. I get it. You go, oh God, I want to show that to people. it's important to get past that. Do not delete the images or the communication, even if it's embarrassing. This is evidence, okay? It is best to not negotiate with the perpetrator or threaten the perpetrator or alert them that you are going to go to law enforcement. Your control, you're taking charge of the situation is your power in this situation. It is best to block all communication from the sender. Shut off the device and remove yourself from future access from this individual. If you're an adult victim of revenge porn, take all information, regardless of how embarrassing. Take your threats, take your communication, take any kind of background on the subject of the individual that you're dealing with, and report it to the non-emergency number at your law enforcement agency. You may want to make an appointment and go down and meet up with them and file the report. You may want to consider filing a restraining order against the individual. If you continue to receive humiliating activity, continue to alert law enforcement. If family members, friends are contacted, be sure to alert law enforcement to that, because they're spreading out the area that they are using for intimidation. If you are in immediate danger, call 911. The most important, it's best not to ever invite the perpetrator to meet up and try to negotiate the return of the images. It never works out well. It's best not to contact the relatives or friends of the perpetrator, and it is best to stop all contact. It's also best to never pay money to someone who's trying to extort you. Most predators will not stop until they're confronted with law enforcement. If you continue using online communications, I would suggest you might want to change your user profile information, set your settings to private, and block all activity that might be related to the perpetrator. Do not accept any new friend requests, because these people are masters at coming up with different apps and different usernames. So it's best just to stop all that activity. If you're an adult victim of revenge porn, you may want to consider hiring a private investigator to research the perpetrator's online activity to see if the images, etc., are being posted in other places. Perpetrators often operate under multiple names and use multiple apps and chat rooms. It can be important to understand the scope of the exploitation without being personally involved. This can also be used to submit to law enforcement to let them know if the perpetrator is continuing to exploit you in other ways. There are many excellent private investigators out there that have experience with revenge porn cases. We happen to know one that works with Million Kids. They are not an employee of Million Kids, but simply work with us on some of our cases. They are an excellent private investigator for this kind of thing. Her name is Linda Berg-Herring of LJB Investigations, and you may want to look that up online, and that is her phone number. She provides cell phone forensic services and social media investigation and analysis services. Most important, take care of yourself. Take extra precaution for your own personal safety. Make sure that you alert your friends and family about what is going on. Make certain your living quarters have extra security. Stop all communications with the perpetrator and be alert to your surroundings, and ask for assistance if you feel unsafe. Million Kids is simply here to make suggestions based on our background and history of seeing these kinds of cases. We are not instructing you to take any specific action, but rather to simply share some suggestions for you in this situation. We highly recommend that you take this very seriously. Report any kind of this activity. If you're in danger, call 911. To report online exploitation, call your non-emergency number of your local law enforcement. You can also report it to your national hotline at 1-888-3737-888. Let me say that one more time, 1-888-3737-888. If you or anybody feels pressured or thinking of harming yourself or committing suicide, you may want to call that hotline 9888. This is Opal Singleton with Million Kids. You can always write to me at opal@millionkids.org. I hope this has been helpful for you. Feel free to share it everywhere you know. This is part of a series called Sextortion Outreach Services, our SOS services, and we hope that you will follow Million Kids, stay involved, maybe support our activity. We'd appreciate it. Be sure and share it with everyone you know, and we'll see you next time. Take care.